streaming. We are recording on both things. And here goes the music. It's time for Clubhouse Chatter. Here's Norm Ordez.
That's right, we're back, and we have the manager of the Brooklyn Cyclones, Tom Gamboa. And Tom is a great baseball man. And Tom, how you doing this morning?
Hey, I'm doing good, Norm. Back here in Brooklyn, New York, where we got a threat of rain today, but life is good here.
How are things going for you in Brooklyn right now?
Well, we just started our season. It's kind of ironic. I talked to you a couple of months ago when I was happily retired, and then the New York Mets talked me out of retirement just before spring training came along, and I'm having a lot of fun and kind of feel re-energized to be back. I ran a training camp for them of some of their young minor leaguers, mostly from Venezuela and the Dominican Republic, down in Port St. Lucie, Florida. And then just this past week, we started our season here in the Northwest League in Brooklyn, and we're 4-2 here through the first week. So we're off to a pretty good start.
Nice. And you're on the bus headed to Hudson Valley.
Right, yeah, we're playing the Devil Rays, the third of a 3-game series tonight, and then we go on to Aberdeen, Maryland for 3 days to play the rookie club of the Baltimore Orioles, and then we'll come back home.
Nice. So the reason why I brought you on today, not only I love talking baseball with you, we're doing our little Tony Gwynn tribute today, and you were with the Padres. And
right.
What was your interaction with Tony Gwynn?
Well, I'll tell you something that was very impressive to me is I came with the Padres in 1991 in the spring, and the first day driving into Yuma, Arizona, I got to the ballpark before 7 o'clock in the morning. We were going to have a staff meeting at 8 o'clock. And Tony Gwynn was already in the batting cage at 6:45 with Merv Rettenman, who was the major league hitting coach. And Tony was a big proponent of the tee. Mm-hmm. A lot of players like to utilize soft toss drills, but Tony was a strong advocate of the batting tee itself. And to think that here was a guy in the midst of eight batting titles in the National League. And on the first day of spring training, he was the first guy at the ballpark in uniform working on his stroke. I just thought was, kind of ironic, because some people think that, well, when you can hit like Tony Gwynn, you're just born to hit. But the work ethic and the perfectionism that he had to take it to another level was just incredible. But as I've told a lot of people these last couple of days since his death, as good a ball player as he was a better and more charismatic person off the field than he was on the field. I mean, always had a smile on his face, very jovial, very humble, and just a great person to be around.
You knew he was a great ball player. And, the last couple of days, you see his stats, and then, you realize how good he really was. I saw a stat to where he struck out like 453 times in his career.
Yeah. And
now you got players hitting that in 2.5 years.
Yeah, well, he never. I mean, it was incredible. I mean, he would strike out at the most like 40 times in a full season. And nowadays, you got some home run hitters that'll strike out 40 times in a month.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, well, his hand-eye coordination was fantastic, and I think what a lot of fans don't realize, because Tony's career spanned so long, I was a scouting supervisor when he was in college, and watching him play at San Diego State, and early in his big league career, he was a four-tool player. I mean, everybody knows that Tony could hit. But when he came to the big leagues, he was a gifted defensive right fielder that had a terrific throwing arm and was a guy that stole 40 to 50. I believe his high was 56, but right. He was a 40, 50 a year base stealer until as the years went by and he tended to take on weight. Obviously the running game didn't wasn't a part of his game toward the end of his career. But and I think the only thing that he was unfairly criticized for at the peak of his career was some people thought he should have hit for more power. But
right.
and I think Tony's high was like 17 or 20. I mean, he certainly had power, but he was concerned with driving in runs and scoring runs and his on-base percentage, which, of course, the Oakland A's have made the on-base percentage so prevalent that now all teams are aware of that. Tony's on-base percentage was phenomenal. So it's a big loss to the baseball community and certainly to the people of San Diego, because he was in fact Mr. Padre.
Yeah.
And I've read on the internet where they're going to have some kind of a permanent memorial tribute to Tony Gwynn for what he did for the franchise and the organization.
There's talk of the Padres. I know it's I don't think ownership will deal with it, but you never know. But there's talk of people wanting to bring back the brown and gold for the rest of the year. For not only for Tony Gwynn but for Jerry Coleman as well. Kind of bring back the throwback uniforms and as a tribute, which I think would be kind of cool. I kind of like the brown and gold, but I don't think the ownership would have anything to do with that. But you never know.
Yeah, I hadn't heard that, but that is an interesting concept. On a personal note, I never got a hold of the tape, but I always wished I could have. When I was unfortunately attacked back in 2002, Tony worked part-time for ESPN as well as being the head coach at his alma mater at San Diego State University, and I had calls from several of my friends that immediately after my attack, there was speculation about, well, did I do something to incite these people to come on the field, or why did it happen? And on whatever ESPN show that Tony was on, he said on TV that he said, well, I know Tom Gamboa, and he worked with the Padres during my playing days, and I can say unequivocally, what a professional guy he was. And that in no way would he have incited somebody, to come on the field. And I thought that was, it was nice to know that he had my back. And I always wish I could have got a copy of that, but I never saw it.
Right.
But just a great person, and in lieu of his death, I would hope that people. I read where Addison Reed, one of his former players, that's now pitching for the Diamondbacks, has made a vow to give up chewing and dipping in memory of Tony. And maybe, it's banned at the minor league level, but maybe some people will take to heart that with an icon gone, and there's certainly speculation that the chewing and dipping had something to do with the type of cancer that he had, that maybe this will be an impetus to get more people off of it.
I sure hope so. And I understand that that's a choice that a person makes, but working with Brett Butler when I was with the Diamondbacks, Brett Butler, of course, with the throat cancer and stuff like that, and you talked to Brett a little bit about his, and he kind of falls that way with the tobacco as well, and so maybe this is an eye opener.
Yeah, well, I'm guilty myself. I chewed for 35 years, and I gave it up when I retired in June of 2011, and certainly I'm glad I did. But like I say, hopefully maybe more people will pick up on Addison Reed's vow, and in memory of Tony, try to create better living habits for themselves, because it's just a tragedy that at 54, Tony left us so soon. And after his playing days, continued to give back to baseball by going back to coach at his alma mater, and very successfully, at San Diego State. So,
yeah,
it's too bad.
So we'll end with this. What are you going to miss most about Tony Gwynn?
Well, I think everybody, what they most miss is his big broad smile. I mean, the moment you saw him, he just had a grin on his face from ear to ear. He just had a very happy, very secure in who he was, and just a very affable, gregarious personality that made you feel better about yourself just being around him.
Right. Definitely one of the greatest, if not the greatest hitter of my generation, Tony Gwynn. The man was, amazing. He was, he brought, video work into the spotlight. He was always watching himself hit, and the tee work, like you said, and that's one of the things that I really remember about him was the tee work. You got the soft toss, but, he would throw that tee down and hit in front of a mirror and just do different drills with it. And, he would take 100 cuts, 200 cuts and whatever. And definitely a true professional, and he will be missed. And
definitely so. And myself being, I'm 66 years old, and I'm a traditionalist. I just lived and died baseball when I was a kid. And, of course, in present day, we're in an era of free agency. And when a guy goes into the Hall of Fame, you're wondering which hat he's going to choose. And I think that it's very admirable that, and I felt fortunate that 3 of the teams that I worked for during my career were the Milwaukee Brewers, the San Diego Padres, and the Kansas City Royals. And 3 icons of each of those clubs, Robin Yount, George Brett, Tony Gwynn, in an era of free agency, all 3 of those guys started and finished their career with the same club. And I think that that's a real credit to the character of those people and the loyalty they had to the community, to the fans, and that they wanted to be known as a Brewer, a Royal, and a Padre for life.
Right.
And you really don't see much of that anymore. And Tony certainly passed up on probably millions of dollars in not going to a big market team like LA, Chicago, or New York. But, he loved San Diego. That's where he made his home in the wintertime. And he was willing to settle for less to be in an environment where he wanted to be and play. And I really respect that.
Right. With that said, Tom, thank you for joining us today. As always, love talking baseball with you.
Okay.
And hopefully we'll get to chat with you again soon. And
okay.
Go Cyclones, and have a good game tonight.
Okay. Thanks for calling, Norm.
Hey,
I enjoyed talking with you.
Thank you, Tom.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
There you go, Mr. Tom Gamboa. I'm truly blessed with doing this baseball gig, Brian, and we've chatted a little bit about doing this, and last night I was able to interview Buzz Osborne, who is the founder, lead singer of the Melvins, and I was a little bit nervous. In fact, I almost called up my buddy Mark and told him, you know what, I'm sick, I'm not coming tonight. But I stuck it out. I went, and I'll tell you what, Buzz Osborne is the real deal. He was a professional, and we chatted, 32 minutes, I think, was the interview. And, I'm not even going to call it an interview. It was more just conversation with a friend. And we chatted baseball. 95% of it was baseball. And this man knows the game, and he was way cool.
There's a reason people succeed. It's not always because they're the most talented, but they know what they're doing, and he's talented. You've got to be talented to get certain distance, and he takes it the extra mile by being personable, doing the people thing, and he's a good guy from all aspects, from what you've said and from what you see on read about the Melvins, how people love being around the Melvins.
Yep.
And and I think it just proved why people love to be around Melvins and Mr. Osborne.
So here is a little tidbit about Buzz. The Simpsons. Sideshow Bob.
The hair.
Sideshow Bob is Buzz Osborne.
That's funny.
No kidding. The character was taken from Buzz Osborne.
That's funny.
And so we chatted a little bit about that, and we'll have the video of the conversation here posted up here soon. But 32 minutes of it, Mark and my friend Mark McCann and I, we chatted with him. You know, we chatted a little bit of music, a little bit of Kurt Cobain. Growing up in Washington, you know, Buzz hates the DH, and he definitely lets you know. He will not. I asked him, I said, so if Mr. Bud Selig gives you a call tomorrow and says, King Buzzo, I would like you to sing the national anthem at any ballpark, Buzz said, hell no. Wouldn't do it.
Tough gig, is that why?
Wouldn't do it. He just said, you know, he said baseball's a national pastime. That's where he just left it.
Huh.
You know, and so, you know, you got to respect that. You know, a lot of people would like, oh yeah, I'd like to do it. King, he's like, just give me tickets behind home plate and I'm happy. And so the concert last night was great, you know, and thank you to Monica and his road manager Dave for the tickets. Great show, you know, and if I continued, you know, doing this Clubhouse chatter and that's all I get out of it is something like that, you know what, I'm okay with that. You know, I'm not looking at getting rich, you know, but it's the people that you meet. You know, Tom Gamboa, for example. You know, Tom told me, it was about 6 months ago, you know, if I ever want to talk baseball, just give him a call. And great baseball man, you know, and we'll definitely have him back on. And so I'd like to plug sponsors again. So once again, we got Base by Pros, Mitch Canham. His dad, Mark Canham, with MDM Designs, does my shirts. Baseballdudes.com, Chris Gazelle. And Baseballisms. Hey, there we go. 15% off. If you go to their website and type in Clubhouse Chatter, you get 15% off. And so, of course, we're part of the 9-inning know-it-all crew. Be prepared. Clubhouse Chatter is coming to a website. We are looking for a launch sometime after July 1st. I'm Norm. That's producer Brian. We got Maya, the Clubhouse Chatter dog, laying on the floor over there. And thank you for listening.